timing me?
I can time.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Would you believe that not buying a donut would save not only your waistline, but the life of a child? By donating the cost of a donut, you can help save the over 2 million children worldwide who have been sold like cattle for the sexual pleasure of someone else. Operation Underground Railroad, also known as OUR, is a nonprofit organization committed to rescuing the victims of the international sex trade. And OUR needs our help. By donating even a little bit of money, you can be an active part in stopping child sex trafficking. Unfortunately, the child sex trade is a much bigger industry than most people realize. Congressman Randy Forbes explains that millions of children have been trafficked worldwide in over 54 countries, and most of them are victims of abuse before they are ever sold by traffickers. Their average age is between 11 to 14, and 99% of the victims are female. Male clients purchase 89% of the girls and 40% of boys, and each victim is sold for an average cost of about $90 apiece. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security estimates human trafficking generates $32 billion in illegal profits per year around the globe, making it the second most lucrative international business. Only drug trafficking brings in more money. How can any organization hope to rescue the children used in such a well-funded and lucrative business? Operation Underground Railroad was started by former CIA operatives who wanted to rescue these trafficked children and to see the perpetrators prosecuted. After OUR identifies possible slave traders, their operatives begin planning the rescue. First, they take into account the willingness of local authorities to work with them. Local cooperation ensures that OUR will both rescue the children and arrest the perpetrators. They also provide local law enforcement with training to support and sustain these operations. Second, OUR operatives research the location where they will be working, as well as the children and the background of those running the sex ring. They also look for facilities, trustworthy facilities, to provide the rescued children with food, shelter, and much needed rehabilitation. Third, OUR designs a specific plan for rescuing the children. Their website reads, "This is the logistical part of the process. As former CIA, Navy SEALs, and special agents, we have a very unique skill set to make this happen safely, efficiently, and legally." After the operation has been organized, OUR begins the actual rescue. This is the most dangerous but essential part of the operation. The operatives pretend to be customers looking for sex with children. This undercover work gives them an idea of how many children need to be saved, as well as information on the traffickers with whom they will be negotiating with. After the purchase has been made, OUR moves in with local police, who arrest those responsible and rescue the children. The children are then taken to the pre-screen facilities found during the planning phase. OUR carefully monitors the children, as well as the legal proceedings against the perpetrators, to ensure that the perpetrators never traffic children again. Though OUR operations are small, they have been very successful. In 2015, they launched 19 rescue missions, and each mission saved anywhere from 1 to 50 children in countries like India, Thailand, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, Uganda, and even the United States. As OUR continues to grow, it will be able to hire more well-trained operatives to launch missions in countries that host trafficking. OUR will save the lives of millions of children everywhere. Children who were once forced to be sex slaves will now be able to live relatively normal lives, to go to school, and live with people who truly care for them. OUR, however, can't grow, can't continue rescuing trafficked children without our help. Rescue missions are expensive and cost upwards of $50,000 each. In a recent Q&A, One of the team members talked about the importance of our donations and how our donations help keep OUR up and running. He said, "Some of you may feel like donating a few dollars will not make a difference in this organization, but it really does. The amount of money spent to buy donuts and hot chocolate, which may be breakfast for some of us, helps us prepare for current or future missions." The team member then told a story of a husband and wife living in California who donate the maximum amount of money they can each month, $1.27. This couple truly understands that any amount helps. The child sex trade has become a lucrative criminal market all around the world. It uses children as commodities, something that is bought and sold, and it must be stopped. Its victims are crying out to be saved, and we can help rescue them. By donating small amounts of money, each of us can help change the lives of abused and suffering children. With monetary help from each one of us, OUR can continue to plan and execute rescue missions to stop the barbaric business of sexual trafficking. With our support, OUR can greenlight the next operation. Next time you want to buy a donut, think about the least among us, the abused and suffering children, and then send your donut money to OURrescue.org. You will be happy you did. The end.
Okay, I got 6 minutes and 36 seconds on that one. And I really liked, again, the beginning. I noticed a couple of different changes in, I think, well, maybe I just remembering, but anyway, you said catchy words that kind of got me, like, that people buy children for their sexual pleasure, and that how the OUR operates or prepares their operations. And then also another one was that you gave some good graphic information about, you know, these people buying children so that they can have sex with kids, and kind of those are emotion provoking for me, because that's horrid and terrible. So it makes me want to get involved even more when I hear those types of things, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's happening. So it makes me kind of, you know, get my emotions going. You're catching my emotions. And then one thing that I thought about when you were giving your speech is that you may want to address, but you may not. But it says, I wrote down, how do our local police officers or police force help with this situation? And is it enough? I mean, I know they probably have some task forces that help, but I wonder if they have enough. If you have any information or statistics on how much money our local police forces pay for that kind of stuff. So those are just my thoughts, and it's great. It was a great speech. I really liked it.
Okay. Do you feel like, I mean, this is totally random. Maybe I should wait for everyone to tell me what they think. Thanks.
Yeah, I like your topic, Karen, and I like that. I know before you said you were going to add more statistics, and you did, and that actually is what really helped me get emotionally invested in your speech, is the statistics. Like, I think you said that they pay like $90 for a kid, but to get them out, I can't remember how much the amount was now. I just had it in my head a second ago, but it's so much larger amount. It's ridiculous. So they can just get kids for this tiny amount, but to rescue them, it's really going to take all of us to just rescue one child. Like, so I really like the statistics. Like Renee, it helps me feel emotionally invested more in it.
Yeah, is it the pathos logos thing? I felt that you had you hit that, and that it's still very personal for me, for having daughters still. And I think you have it well researched with all the numbers and statistics, because once you hear a number, or once you can like picture a number, picture something, it gets you. Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I liked it as well. I liked the changes you made as far as saying kind of how it works, like saying that the CIA operatives and like ex-military guys are involved with it, because when you first gave it and I was imagining it, I was thinking like, I don't know, like volunteers almost, like are going out there and trying to save these kids. So knowing that it's like military people, that I don't know, made me feel better anyways. And then the only other thing I thought of was when you were mentioning the average age, and then the $90 a piece or whatever. As a listener, people according to who. I just wanted to hear who says that is 11 to 14, and who says it's $90 a piece. So maybe just say 11 to 14 according to whoever it is. But that's a just.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what I was going to ask was, someone told me in the class feedback, the class feedback, not you guys, but someone said something like, maybe you can go into detail about the process of how they rescue the kids. But unfortunately, they don't talk about that in the website. There's a movie that they made that has actual footage of how they rescue the children. But they don't show you that. Obviously, they're not gonna tell you the strategy step by step that they're using. Do you think that leaves people confused if I don't step by step, like the process, or is what I said okay enough for you to follow along and understand? Do you think I should make changes to that or no? I wouldn't know what to change it to.
I don't think you need to, because your point of the speech is not to get us to go rescue the children ourselves. The point is to get us to feel compassionate enough to realize our small donation can help. So I think you really need to focus on, they get them for cheap. It costs a lot of money. You can only donate a little bit, but we really don't need to know. And like Bryant said, it's good to know that professionals are doing it, because then you feel like you're donating to somebody who actually can really help. So I just don't feel like the whole process is really as important, because that is not the point of the speech. It's not to inform us of how they rescue. It's to get us to want to help.
Yeah. And someone else suggested that I talk about what a night for a kid is like, but I don't think I really need to go into detail if I'm saying that they're being bought, to do these things. I don't think I need to specifically describe a night in their lives. But, again, that was just a suggestion someone told me, so I thought I'd ask what you thought about that.
I think it was plenty, because you mentioned that they meet up with them in a coffee shop or a place to eat, and then they pose as one of the people that are going to try to buy them. That's plenty. That's telling us how it works anyway. So I completely agree with everybody else is saying. It's fine the way it is. If you're going to give a 20-minute speech on it, then maybe, but that's more than enough.
Okay, thank you.
I think everyone also can picture a happy child running around playing as well. That's how they should be, and they shouldn't be stuck in any of that situation. So I think you've done it how you need to.
What about emotionally? Do I need to add more emotion? I think sometimes adding more emotion to me makes me want to cry because I'm talking about a really tough subject, and I'm a mom, and sometimes the first time I practiced it, I was almost crying at the end. I was like, I think I picked the wrong thing to talk about. This is so hard. But I'm trying. I'm working on it. So.
I think you got great. All the information in there is just enough to get them to do what you need them to do. I don't think you need to change anything.
Yeah. Agreed.
Can I go next?
Sure.
Cool. Okay, I'll tell you, I've already recorded this.
Okay, good for you.
Because I'm ready. No, I've already recorded it to turn in. So I hope it's good enough. Okay.
So basically, don't tell you anything that alters the whole thing of your speech.
Right. Don't tell me what to change. Just kidding. No, go for it. If I need to. Okay. So there is something we eat every day that's in our food. According to a health coach named Jenny Sansuki, said the effects can lead to excess fatigue, cravings, addiction that is compared to using cocaine, depression, anxiety, skin issues, acne, From dryness to eczema, sickness comes frequently, and extra weight gain. Have you guessed it? Would you believe that it is sugar? And would you agree that there's too much sugar in the food we eat? I have felt strongly for a few years now that there's too much sugar in what at least our family has eaten. There's so many ailments that can be caused by consuming all the different kinds of sugar that has been created to make our food taste better or cost cheaper. It is not better. From sugarscience.org, they say sugar is hidden in plain sight. 74% of our packaged food has added sugar. My experience with sugar has been a love-hate relationship. It's so hard to feed our families what is really healthy for us. The subject affects me as a mother of 4 growing children. I've seen the effects and what it can do personally if we don't watch what we eat. I was told while pregnant with each of our children that I should be eating as many calories or whatever I wanted to just to gain weight, I guess. Well, that was not the best advice I have taken in my life. When I talk about sugar, I mean the white refined sugar, the kind that is unnatural, and some of the words we can't even pronounce. The kinds of sugar that is in everything we eat, from the milk we drink to the bowl of cereal we feed our children, ourselves and our kids, and even the pepperoni on our pizza. I've been told by a pediatrician there's no such thing as the sugar rush. I watch my kids eat their Halloween candy or even any holiday candy and act so crazy, then crash so hard. So I don't believe them when they say that. I'm going to give examples of why there's too much sugar, give options of different sugars and what we can do to reduce the sugars in our diets. So what is sugar doing to our bodies? I'll just name a few more than what I stated at the beginning that I know everyone has seen around and know that and they know about them. So that they're listed on the article self.com. We load up on sugar. So it affects our skin. It's the same as drinking a soda a day, as smoking a cigarette. It ages the skin quickly. We get sugar rush, so we feel drained and we're tired. We eat too many calories, empty calories, to cause us to eat more. And diabetes makes our blood sugar spike and produce more insulin. It's a fatty liver. It stores the excess glucose until it gets to capacity and the next organ is affected. And tooth decay, weakened tooth enamel from the bacteria feeding of the sugar to make your mouth more acidic. At what cost is our health? Is it so much that we worry about the price of food or what is more on sale that we eat? There are other options of sugar to use that are better for us and our bodies that are widely available. Of course, we use your better judgment on what to use because it's different. There's a difference between baking and making frosting. So here's what I use in our kitchen. I use maple syrup, honey, coconut sugar, turbinado, or raw sugar. The best thing to do is to read labels and to be familiar with the other names of sugar. So I have found maltodextrin, refiner sugar, treacle, dextrose, invert sugar, golden sugar, castor sugar, sorghum sugar, barley malt, and sucrose. Some of those don't even sound appetizing. The 2 types of sweeteners that are the most damaging to our health, says Desi Ward from Unconventional Kitchen blog, says that there are high fructose corn syrup and artificial sweeteners. From an article titled 5 Things You Need to Know About Maple Syrup, say high fructose corn syrup is mostly used in pancake syrup. It is a less expensive substitute for maple syrup. Wikipedia says high fructose corn syrup became a sucrose replacement for honeybees starting in the late 1970s. From the 1990s is when the rise of effects of eating so much sugar has shown that it is an issue. So from wellnessmama.org blog, it says, today the average person consumes his or her weight in plus over 20 pounds of corn syrup. It's to listen to your body. If you feel rotten after eating like a donut, which isn't obvious for being full of sugar, skip it, find something else. What will you look like when you're older, or even 6 months or a year after choosing different options? I've struggled with candida, which is an imbalance of yeast and sugar that produces many different symptoms. The cells are so toxic to our bodies, which give us all those different kind of ailments. From being on a candida diet or a sugar-free diet strictly for 2 weeks, a few times this year, that means 0 sugars, I've lost close to 30 pounds. I've continued to keep the diet at 80-20%, which is I'm sticking to the diet 80% and I'm adding back slowly the fresh fruits and the more natural sugars. So I've kept the weight off still, and I have more energy and able to focus and manage what I need to as a wife and mother, who just this past summer, so you can tell, the summer, 4 months, has cut out sugar and has lost 70 pounds. I can tell she feels good by the clothes she wears. She's changed her lifestyle by adding in a few days of exercising a week and has managed her health issues to feel better. So if an addiction is what has brought the effect of eating or drinking too much sugar, it's suggested to follow a 12-step addiction plan, which like on foodaddicts.org, or simply follow dailyburn.com steps, which is you can substitute whole fruits for sweets. You can ditch artificial sweeteners and everything. You can clean your house. You can create a backup plan, or you can manage your magnesium levels. You don't have to feel crummy because of what you eat. Everyone deserves to feel better. Choose to be healthy. Choose to have a healthy and happy family. You wouldn't feed your dog chocolate or a robot human food. So why would you feed yourself something that is not made for our bodies to industries? Here are some suggestions for some solutions. We need to put some time into planning our meals so it isn't from the freezer, out of a box, or even takeout. If we plan right and substitute what is not healthy for us, that is a great place to start. Educating our children and not limiting them to the quick and easy mac and cheese, hot dogs, and chicken nuggets, or even McDonald's. But most of the time, our families won't know the difference, so we need to start early. I'm an acupuncturist, Dr. Lynn, that I am the mother. I need to be the example. She said to me while on my diet, maybe it will help you as well. No sugar means no sugar, no fruit, no artificial anything. You, the mother, you teach your children. If I haven't persuaded you to read the labels of the food you eat, at least listen to your body when something isn't right.
Good job, Paula. I timed you as well. You're like 7:40 something. So
I don't know what to take. I don't want to take
I know.
anything.
I know, you're fine. I think you're fine. I don't know how much you did when you submitted it anyway, but I like the personal connection you gave in your story. I like that you explain things well, and I like that you give alternatives, like different things we can eat instead, different sugars we can use, and you also give ideas of what to do when we want to eat sugar, like cleaning your house, or you just gave a list of things. So I like that you explained yourself well, which I think helps motivate people when they're not just told, don't do it, but this is what you can do instead. I feel like you really covered a lot of different avenues with that. So you had really good information with that. And I felt like you were candid and you were just kind of talking to me. So I think you did a good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, and same here. So I think you changed the intro a little bit, if I remember from last time, and I really liked it because as a listener, you're naming off all these things, and I'm thinking, wow, if it's really affecting all of that, what could it be? And just because I'd heard it previously, I knew it was sugar. But I think most people, when you actually say that it's sugar, they go, "Oh wow, that's kind of crazy." And then I really liked the section at the end where you gave solutions. I thought that was really smart to do that. Here's some different ways that you can actually cut this out because it's really hard to do.
Thanks.
I also liked it as well. I like the sources that you said. They definitely supported your topic. And you pointed out what too much sugar does to our bodies and the effect it makes. So I really like that. And my most favorite part was when you said to skip donuts. And I was thinking, yes, donate that money to OUR. Overall, it's really good. So thank you. It was great.
Thanks.
I liked all the things that everyone's saying too. The beginning part where you added, what happens to the body, the fatty liver, all that kind of stuff. The differences that you put in there too, like what happens you explained the 80-20 a little bit more, and that was really good. I love the addition of the addiction, you know, issue. So I liked it. Great. It was fantastic. It was really good.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, does somebody else want to go next?
I can. So I had to kind of take all the feedback I got and kind of just rewrite it. So it's a little different. Hopefully it'll be a little more organized this time. But I've got most of the stuff written down, so the eye contact's going to be a little off, just so you know. So, okay. I'm actually going to time myself because I still need to record this. So, this. On June 29th, 2007, a battle quietly began. Every year since, this battle has intensified, claiming more victims. June 29th was the year that Apple released the first iPhone, and ever since then changed the industry forever. The struggle that I'm speaking of is Apple versus iPhone, or excuse me, Apple versus Android. My objective today is to show you that Android phones are less costly, provide better customization, and are more advanced than their iPhone counterparts. So with that being said, let's save you guys some money. Now, before I begin, I want to tell you that I've been working in the cell phone industry for the last probably 5 years or so, and because of that, on a daily basis, I help people make this decision. So I can give you a unique perspective into this that you probably won't get listening to anyone else. In September of this year, Apple released the new iPhone, the iPhone 7, with a retail cost of $649. Now, but most people understand now that that's how much it has always cost for those phones. And so that's actually pretty standard pricing. The curators of ZDNet.com a couple days after release did a teardown of the iPhone and found that the total cost for parts was $206. So that is a hardware cost. The hardware costs less than 1/3 of the actual price of the phone. So there's a lot of markup on iPhones. Now, I've got two phones right here. I want to show you guys. Let's see here. We got an Android phone, pretty typical. It's a Motorola, and an iPhone. These can do virtually the exact same things. 95% of the things you would ever want to do with a device can be done on both of these in the exact same way. So, what I'm trying to say is don't get price gouged just because that has an Apple on it, because they can actually do the exact same things. Now, a lot of people keep their Android phones because they're more customizable. A good example of that is widgets. I hope you guys will be able to see this. So an example here, these are all of my Google Chrome bookmarks, and I can actually just scroll through those and hit a bookmark just by going like that. And there's thousands of these. You could put on how much data you're using each month. You could put on your emails, things like that. So you can really make the phone exactly how you want it, and you're not quite as locked down. And so I actually want to tell you guys a little story quickly about this phone. So this is a Motorola Moto E. You can pick these up for about $10 if you get them on sale. And like I said, this is a full-fledged smartphone. It's got a camera, it's got a good screen, all that same stuff. So when I got this, I actually already had a phone, so I tried to find a unique and creative way to use this for something else. And so I actually turned it into a security camera. My wife, I'm sure, hated it because I had it mounted outside of our house, and I connected it to a few things, and I was able to actually monitor with this device for $10. Because it's got this camera right here and then it connects to Wi-Fi, so I was able to do that. So the sky's really the limit, because you can get Android phones that are as cheap as $10 all the way up to, you know, very expensive. But just know that even the very cheap ones are capable of a lot. So another part of the customization is the operating system. So the iPhone's a great example of this. This is an iPhone 5C. It's been out for a couple of years. If I tried to activate this right now, it would make me install the latest version of iOS on it like garbage. It would run very, very slow, and it would have a hard time. And I don't think Apple does that intentionally, but they want you to go buy a new iPhone. that's how it is. That's how they make money, is by selling you a new iPhone. And so this is just not going to run anywhere near like it used to when it was new. Here, you could actually pull the operating system off of this and put a different one on that's designed to run on older hardware. And my mom is a good example of this. So her story is, I got her first smartphone about a year ago. She was very excited. We went into a bunch of cell phone stores, and she was looking at all the phones, and she did not want to spend $700 on a phone because she completely understood that she was not going to use it to that full capability. So I bought her a Samsung S3, which I actually got for free. And I did exactly what I was just telling you guys. I pulled the operating system off, put a new one on that was designed to run on older hardware, and she still uses that phone right now. But that phone, she could probably use that for another 5 years if she wants, because it's still running just fine. There's a lot of people that are unlike my mom, I'm included in this, that don't want a cheap phone. They want one that's really advanced and has a bunch of features. And as well, so on some of the more expensive phones, you get things like an iris scanner. I'm not even joking. It'll actually scan your eyeball and unlock the phone that way. Wireless charging, and then very, very fast processors. And all of that is so that when new innovation hits the marketplace, it comes to Android first, because they know that they will adopt it and they're not afraid of it. Whereas Apple makes sure that before they put anything on their phone, that the user experience is going to be perfect. All that being said, let's see here. I told you all about how Android phones are less expensive, more customizable, and more advanced than their Android counterpart, or than their iPhone counterparts. But I'm not saying that you should all run out and drop your iPhones and buy an Android phone today. That would be absolutely ridiculous. But what I am saying is that the next time you upgrade, you should give it a shot, because a lot of people don't know this, but most stores like Best Buy, Verizon, wherever you buy your phones, whatever it may be, they usually have a 14-day return policy on the phones. And so you can actually get an Android phone, try it out for a couple weeks, and if you absolutely hate it, which you might, and that's fine, you can return it and go back to your old phone. So with that being said, upgrade, try an Android phone, save yourself some money, and try Android. The end.
I thought you did a good job, Bryant. I liked the beginning. I mean, I knew what you were going to talk about, but given the little blurb you gave at the beginning, I wasn't expecting, someone wouldn't expect you to be talking about a phone. I think you gave a lot of really good information. You're candid when you speak. You're just really laid back and natural when you're speaking. And I think you appeal to a lot of variety of people who are going to buy phones. The people who are really tech savvy, the people who don't want to spend a lot of money, the people who might not know a lot about phones. Like, you gave multiple reasons why an Android could fit all of those different types of buyers. So I think you covered it well.
Thank you. Yeah, be honest. Like, if something needs to be changed, let me know.
Okay.
I really like the intro too. It was an attention grabber. And I like the visual aid. I like that you showed the phone, and it kind of helps us follow along better and understand what you're saying. I thought it was very informative, but persuasive as well. So overall, I think you did a good job.
Yeah, I like the. Go ahead,
Renee.
Paula. Go ahead, Paula. You go.
One thing the tutor said to me was, make sure, like, if you're very passionate about your subject, is to give yourself credit. And Bryant, you did that because you explained how long you've worked in the cell phone industry, and that you know him. So that kind of scares me, thinking I don't know much about it, but I really want to know. But, like, I don't know. I'm still torn. You haven't persuaded me.
All right.
Paula, I take it you have an Apple.
Yeah, you had good information, but I'm just scared because who do I know who can go and upgrade my phone for me instead of buying a whole new one? You know what I mean? Like, who can upgrade all my parts in my phone? Just like my computer. I hate computers because I don't know much about them. So it's just knowing someone who can do that for you. Like having a good friend to take it to all the time.
No, you make a good point. I should definitely say something like there's places that you could take your phone that they would be willing to do that kind of stuff to it. So no, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Karen. I like that catchy intro. That was good. Again, the things that you showed, that was really good too. I like your explanation of your security camera and how you were able to do that. That was really cool. And that you explained that updating the Apple makes it slow down, because I just switched to Apple myself, and so I'm noticing that I'm like, wait, hold on, I'm spending hundreds of dollars, and anyway, so I'm kind of on the fence here, but yeah, I have that same concern that Paula does. Like, who the heck do I take my Android to? Because I don't know anybody who can help me out with changing the speaker, or upgrading the operating system, or whatever. I mean, whatever I need to do, I'm not even sure who I would take that to. So that would be my only suggestion, is that you give like maybe a picture of the part in the phone book that we would go to, or just whatever, just anywhere we could go to actually have people fix our stuff for us.
Perfect. Yeah, there's a place in Idaho Falls that does it. So yeah, I'll grab their thing, and that works. So.
Perfect. Yeah, very good.
All right, Renee, you or me? I don't care.
I can go.
Okay.
Okay, let me get my thing here. Okay, again, yeah, I read mine. I mean, I had to rewrite mine 3 times and stuff, just taking out and skinnying it down and stuff. So I'm reading it. Okay, and then also someone mentioned, and you guys just kind of keep your ears open for this if you don't mind, and then whatever other feedback would be great too. But someone said that I needed to get like a catchier, intro grabber, but I can't even imagine what that would be. So you guys kind of get your imaginations running and help me out. If anything comes to mind, let me know. Okay, here we go. Okay. Regardless of if we are single or married, gay or not, old or young, we all come from families of all different shapes and sizes. Those relationships are what formed us and got us to where we are today. My hope is to bring some information into the forefront of your mind of how we can educate our children through considering social science findings on conservative versus liberal sexuality, what parents' role is in sex education, and to discuss some solutions to relationship development and sex education. Sex education in all spheres in the educating society must base their curriculum on conserving and developing relationships from casual intimacy to sexual intimacy. First, let's talk about social science findings. In Demographic Winter, we learned that 40 years of social science makes it clear that the deterioration of marriage and the encouragement of sexuality outside of marriage is not good for society, women, children, or men. And another finding from Demographic Winter: on every measure ever measured by social sciences, the intact married family is the strongest on any outcome ever measured. We must be conservative in our sexual behavior. What does liberal sexual behavior promote? Professor of psychology Laura E. Burke teaches that families or individuals that have multiple sexual partners are more prone to physical and mental health problems. Along with Dr. Burke, couple authors Robert and Jeanette Lauer explain that families who have their marriages end in divorce produce children who are more likely to struggle significantly or fail in educational pursuits and in their own intimate relationships. Again, from Lauer and Lauer, we know that people who cohabitate are more likely to have relationships end in divorce and fail to become educated or to secure jobs that require further educational background. There is a great risk with sexual promiscuity. All members of society must form relationships that produce and foster sexuality inside of monogamous relationships. Lauer and Lauer helps us to understand that the relational statistics and the physical and emotional health for some in society, especially the LGBT community, is dismal, with high suicide rates and lack of acceptance. What can we do for these groups and individuals? We can help teach and foster healthy relationship development. This begins in the family of origin. DibbleInstitute.org has a curriculum based on dating and emotions that can help foster healthy relationship strategies for all. I mentioned earlier that the development of healthy relationships is to begin in the home, in the family of origin. Let's discuss two approaches of parental roles in sex education. There is the hands-on approach and the hands-off approach. The hands-off approach requires that our children's schools do the majority of sexual awareness. In just over 1 year, I will have 5 children attending school in our public school system. My school district and many like mine are exploring alternative sex education, like the one offered by the UNESCO HIV and Health Education Clearinghouse. This method of education is too advanced and age inappropriate for children. Some topics in their outline teach 5-year-olds about vaginal intercourse and expose them to terms like homo, fag, and queer. At age 9, they suggest teaching body image issues, including dieting, surgery, and drug usage. At age 13, they want us to teach our kids about why children and teens develop eating disorders. None of these are age appropriate or in the right loving or trusting setting where questions can be asked and rebuttals can be given by the parent. Alternatively, parent-based sexuality awareness education can be taught to children. Sorry, hold on. My son just kicked my things off. Okay. Sorry. Talk to children in healthy ways are the National Council of Family Relations. It is a premier professional association for the multidisciplinary understanding of families. The website is ncfr.org. They teach parenting rights and responsibilities, parenting practices and processes, parent-child relationships, variation in parenting solutions, and changing parenting roles across the lifespan. Me educating my children in the home regarding sexual matters has been natural and age appropriate. When my 5-year-old asked how I got a baby in my belly, I was able to explain how when women have eggs and men have seeds, when the eggs and the seeds come together, it makes a baby. When I'm helping my 4-year-old with his bath, he touches his penis and scrotum and says, "Mom, what's this?" I don't run away in flush and embarrassment. I tell him that those are his private parts, his penis, scrotum, and testicles. I also can take this opportunity to tell him that there will be seeds in his testicles that will help him make babies just like his dad. I can also tell him that we need to be gentle and careful with our private parts and no one except he should touch them, which could also lead to discussion about keeping his body safe from predators. When my 9-year-old daughter is on the brink of breast development and pubic hair growth, I take the opportunity to explain the menstrual cycle and what will be happening to the body in coming years. I also explain what happens to the opposite gender as well, just so that she can be more sensitive to the things that opposite gender will be experiencing. These are just few examples of natural interactions and parent-child sex education. When my 12-year-old daughter doesn't want to eat her lunch, I explain the benefits of taking a well-balanced meal to school. I explain the health benefits of eating and what it does for the body when we do eat food. I can also explain that each of us has a different body type, and then there is a time when the female body is changing and requires an extra store of fat in certain areas of the body in order for the body to have a period and in order for the body, hips, breasts to develop properly. Then she can ask questions that are concerning to her. How do we help ensure our schools are teaching sex education that is in line with the goals and of a healthy family home? A great way is to get informed and involved to help strengthen our families and children is to contact your local school board trustee. Search your school district name and the word trustee, and you will be able to be directed to their local website and ways to contact them. Another way is to get out and vote. If you aren't registered to vote, then you can search online the county you live in and the words voter registration. And then you'll be directed to the forum that helps to get you registered to vote. In conclusion, we can do something now to strengthen the family and strengthen relationships. Each of us, regardless of what stage of life we are in, regardless of what our family preference is, whether we are in a marriage relationship, the single scene, right in the middle of raising young children, parents of teens or parents of launching adults, or even educators who have stewardship over children and youth, we can all learn to teach relationship development and strengthening our relationships. Our economy needs it. Our demography needs it, our children need it, and we need it.
Good job, Renee, especially with the distraction. Just a little one, right? Okay, so I thought you had a much better beginning and I knew what you were addressing. I know before I was a little confused on where you were going, so it was a lot more clear to me. And I knew what you were talking about because I had already heard it, but I think just from hearing it from the first time too, I think I was more clear. I think you definitely had a better outline to it. I know you mentioned demographic winter twice, and I know what that is because I've seen it twice, but for somebody who doesn't know what it is, you might want to reference it, you know, that it's a video and what it's about, just because you talk about it twice. And demographic winter, I guess you could think about it a little bit and know what it is, but you might want to explain what that is. And I also like that you gave resources throughout about what to do, and you were very forthright about a sensitive subject, but how to address it with our kids. So, but your speech was much better.
Yeah, Renee, I like the plan you were going to give, like you said what you're going to talk about. And then I thought of a hook that you could, like I said before, is have people picture like how it was in the 1940s, like, or earlier, or however many years ago, or like even my parents, they didn't teach us anything about that. So, you know, we're very, we ended up being very, what's the word? For ourselves, we'll say that. Then I like the approaches that we could take as parents, and I like the openness of your subject.
I agree with Molly. I thought it was a very good outline. I understood it a lot better than last week. And my only feedback would be, you broke up a little bit towards the very end, so the conclusion I couldn't hear very well. I didn't understand that very well. So if you haven't already, because I couldn't hear, I would make it maybe a little bit stronger if it's not already, and kind of restate again what it is that you're kind of persuading us to do with that, with your speech in general.
All right, and then I'm the odd one out because I don't have kids. So I like this one a lot more than last time, because last time I was listening to it as a person who doesn't have children and just kind of imagining all of the other kids, like imagining your guys' kids and thinking, well, I don't have to deal with that. That's up to you guys. But this time, because you kind of started with, you know, hey, this is how I've taught my kids about it in my own home. And then this is also how things are kind of going, you know, locally, like in your county and stuff. That influenced me a lot more, because it made me think, you know, it's true, I don't have kids right now, but when I do, how am I going to address those issues? Because I also grew up, my parents never talked about that at all, but my school did an absolutely terrible job talking about that. And so it was a lot like you were just saying, like we kind of just had to figure that out, which isn't right. And so as a person without children, it really got me thinking, how am I going to address those things, and how am I going to address them in the home? But then also, what can I do to make sure that they get taught it correctly in their school as well, so they don't, you know, not end up like me necessarily, but they have a better understanding of it than me. Let's see, there's one other thing as well. And then at the very end, you're mentioning, you know, these are all the people that this affects, and you kind of went through and mentioned different groups of people, and you pretty much hit, you know, people saying, no matter who you are, this is something you need to be thinking about, whether it's just in your own home, or if you already have children, then you need to be thinking about how it influences them at school. So yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to say like it's like, well, what am I gonna say? Because it wasn't bad last time. It just didn't affect me nearly as much as it did this time. And I think it's just because you mentioned, you know, how you address those things in your own home. So yeah, really, really good. Makes me want to start thinking about that actually a lot. So good job.
Okay, and I, the thing too that you said, Bryant, you said that that I explained what I do in my own home. That's what the PPC guy, you know, and you did it with your own speech, but saying you're an expert and Paula did it with hers too. If you have expertise in it, and I thought that added a lot too with Paula's and Bryant's speech, that you guys are actually involved in it and you've applied it to your life. So thank you. I appreciate all your guys' feedback.
Okay, I guess I'm it. All right, so I've revised mine like 100 times. So I might actually be giving the exact same speech because I revised it so much, it might have come full circle. I really don't remember. Okay, just a second, I'm gonna time it. And I did hear from one person, I don't know if you guys remember, I share a story in the very beginning of it. And I heard from one person that it might be a distraction and not to share, like not to read the story, but a lot of people said they like it. So if you guys will, I'm leaving it in, but if you guys will think about that and let me know if you think it's too much of a distraction and too long, and if I should, I don't know, do something else with it. Okay. Before I share the topic that I want to talk to you today about, I want to share a story with you. And this story actually comes out of a magazine called Boy's Life. And if you have a scout in your life, you know what that story, what this magazine is. And this is an old one, and it's dated back from 1998. And I'm going to read you straight out of it. And this story right here, it's called A True Story of Scouts in Action. Boulders Fell on the Rafters. It starts. On July 30th, 1996, 30 scouts and parents from Burley, Idaho's Troop 23, rafting the Salmon River, were caught in a microburst, a super strong wind. In one raft, Ron Hall and his sons, Randy, 16, and Curtis, 15, and Ray Anderson and his 14-year-old son, John, headed for shore, where Randy and Curtis secured the boat. A boulder fell off a bench above them, breaking in two. One piece knocked Mr. Anderson into the water and shattered his leg. John grabbed his dad and helped him back into the raft. The second piece hit Mr. Hall in the head, plunging him face down into the water. Randy and Curtis, his arm hurt by the falling rock, jumped in and pulled out their father. Mr. Hall was bleeding badly and drifting in and out of consciousness. Randy bandaged his father's head and Curtis's arm. John and others splintered Mr. Anderson's broken leg. They flagged down a jet boat driver who took them to a boat ramp where a helicopter evacuated the wounded. Now this story, I don't know if it's fabulous to you. It might be interesting, but it just has basic information. And a lot of people probably don't remember reading it if they ever read it at all, and they probably threw it out. So you might be asking yourself, why didn't I throw out this very old magazine? Why do I have a magazine dated from 1998? And that leads me into my topic. And my topic is not so you'll save old magazines or because it's about scouting. The topic is about writing, and I want to encourage you guys to write. And the reason that I brought up this story is because this story is about my brother and about my father. And one reason that we're encouraged to write is for our posterity. And my father wrote about this event, and I want to share more things about this story that he told me that make this story the epic story that it truly is. Something that was left out of this story is that the microburst that hit was so large that as my father was floating in the water, the trees that floated by him were huge, and they had the roots still attached to them because the winds were so strong. Something else that was left out of the story was that my father knew that his leg was broken, not because of the pain that he was in, but because he saw his heel floating up in the water. And something else that was left out in the story is that in between the time that the boys bandaged up their fathers and that the jet boat came, that a priest of blessing had been administered to them. And so through my father's writing, I have a story, and I have a story through my posterity, one that will be remembered. President Kimball said, "Those who keep a book of remembrance are more likely to keep the Lord in remembrance in their daily lives. Journals are a way of counting our blessings and of leaving an inventory of those blessings for our posterity." So one reason we write is for our posterity, and now that story is part of my posterity. Another reason we write is to stir up emotion. David McCullough, who's an American Pulitzer Prize winner and a National Book Award recipient, said, "Facts alone are never enough. Facts are rarely, if ever, have any soul. In writing or trying to understand history, one may have all manner of data and miss the point. One can have all the facts and miss the truth. It can be like the old piano teacher's lament to her student. I hear all the notes, but I hear no music." So I want you to ask yourself when you're writing, am I stirring up emotion in my reader? Am I stirring up emotion in myself? If you're doing those things, then you're writing down something that's worth reading later. I didn't realize how much emotion was brought up when I started writing. I took a writing class, And I wrote about races that I had trained for and run. I wrote about my son's hearing aids. I wrote about pregnancies that I had. And as I wrote those, feelings about those events came about as I started writing them. So now we're not only writing for posterity, but we're writing for ourselves too. And as we release those emotions, we start to change and we start to understand ourselves better. When we write for posterity, we stir up emotions. Statistically, we should write because we are better communicators. It eliminates stress. We're more productive and we're happier. These are all bonus reasons to write. Another reason to write is not just to stir up emotions, but to release emotions. So if you have strong feelings about something, it's great to write things down. I had an experience where a Mother's Day was approaching, and my husband in years past always wanted to do the same thing. He wanted to go to my mother-in-law's house, and I didn't like going there. She's a great person, but I didn't think she really liked it either, hosting my family during that time. And so I wrote this letter kind of to my husband out of frustration, and I was a little bit angry as I was writing it. And I wrote it because I wanted to be able to deliver this speech to him and say exactly what I wanted to. And actually what happened is when the time came for him to bring up the topic, he mentioned it again, going to my mother-in-law's house, but I wasn't angry anymore. And it's because I had already written down all my emotions and I had gotten them out. And as I was able to talk to him in a meaningful way without being hurtful. So writing can also be a great way to release emotions. I even threw that paper away when I was done. So that's a great way, a great resource for writing is to release emotions. If you don't know where to start when you're writing, you can register yourself for a writing workshop online. You can even Google things to write about and a bunch of different topics will come up. And just pick something that might spark an interest in you and just write down and see if you're emotionally connected to it. As you write, think about your posterity. Think about if you're stirring up emotions. Think about, is this going to help me release emotions? You might be surprised that the influence that you have on others is great, but you might be surprised that the influence you have on yourself is also great when you write.
That was great. I really liked it. I like the way you have it. I mean, it's really great reading that bit of story and, you know, bring it all in. You have a very smooth and relaxed way of delivery, and it is very catchy, the whole thing. So I love that you stated again in there that it's a great emotional outlet. I like that you added the online resources, kind of like where to go for me. I thought that was perfect, and it's ready to be recorded. I really like it. I thought it was great.
Okay, thank you.
I liked how you started, and I liked how that story added to, well, that's not all, there's more. So the ideas of where to start are great because I'm not a writer and I don't do much journaling or any journaling at all. So just start little by little, and reasons why is to give us our outlet of emotions and not to bring it on someone else.
Okay, thank you.
I really like the story. I would definitely leave that in there. I like the quotes that you quoted as well. I think there's a part where you say something like, if you can't think of topics to write on, you can go to a workshop or something like that. Did I understand that right? Or anyway. But, you know, for lazy people like me, I think maybe something to give you an idea would be like I've seen books where you can buy like at Walgreens or I don't know, maybe Walmart or just online that already have questions there with lines and you just write in your answers. So I think that's something for people that don't want to go online and search, you know, for this and that. You can just be like, hey, there's a book out there that already has hundreds of questions that are already there, and you can just go in there and write down your answers, you know?
Okay.
Anyway, I thought it was really good. It definitely makes me want to write more. When I was on my mission, I made a goal to write something every day on my journal. And I did, but I haven't been doing very well since I've been back. So definitely it makes me want to get better at that. Good job.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I don't have a lot more to add, just because I'm also kind of a writer. I was going to do that as a career for a while, and then other things happened. But I like that you mentioned that you don't just write for other people. A lot of the times you end up learning a lot about yourself and kind of figuring out how you handle certain things when you write about situations. Like I had to write I didn't have to write it. I chose to write a paper, how I felt when one of my friends died. And I had never addressed that issue really. I kind of just pushed it inside me. And when I had to write about it, I actually started to understand like why I did stuff. And it was really weird to just see kind of how that happened. And so I have to kind of agree with Karen a little bit, just try to give your listener an easy way to start writing, because I would have never thought I was a good writer at all. And I've had just so many people tell me that I am. I've won awards doing it. And it's all because when I was a little kid, my parents encouraged me to write stuff, because they saw that I liked to write, and I wrote some little tiny stories as a kid. And they were like, oh, these are awesome. You need to keep doing it. And if I would have just never developed that talent and never done it. So yeah, just some way that an adult who maybe has never done it can kind of slowly ease into it and just try it out.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, awesome. Is this it?
Yeah,
Is this our last meeting too?
It could be our last meeting, but if not, then we'll see you guys next week. But good luck with you.
I think it is.
I don't think we meet next week. I think we have like 1 or 2 assignments next week. It's probably just
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
I think it's just a portfolio paper. We have to write a paper of what we learned this semester. And it's just a 1 page, just FYI.
Oh, good.
Anyway.
Awesome. Okay, well,
right.
thanks for all your help this semester, guys.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Guys.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.